Right, so I've been getting the question a lot, is Java worth learning still in 2022? I'm going to answer that question for you here today. Hey, before we start, I just want to say thanks for watching and make sure you subscribe so you never miss any more videos. Right, so before we go into the details about Java, just want to say that it was in the top 5 most used programming languages of the Stack Overflow survey. I can actually link for you below. It's a pretty cool article to read. I'll give you some insight on the industry. So just from that alone, we already know it's worth learning. But let's just go over some of the pros and cons and make sure it's the right language for you. So it's great and all that they need Java developers everywhere, but if they need so many, it's probably hard to learn, right? And any programming language is going to be hard to learn, right? Like it's not like an easy feat, but I would say Java is probably one of the best ones for beginners, and there's a few reasons why. So one more thing before we go into the technicality of it, you might be wondering what kind of jobs does a Java developer want? So some of the main ones, and I would say the most prominent ones, are going to be Android apps for sure. Java is the preferred language for making Android apps. Stuff like credit card software, Java is really good for, and also like standard like run-of-the-mill desktop applications. And as you can imagine, pretty much every company nowadays needs an Android app and some sort of credit card software to process payments. So there's plenty of jobs out there for everyone who wants to be a Java developer. So one of the reasons why I definitely recommend Java is the fact that it supports object-oriented programming. I'm sure that doesn't mean much if you've never programmed before, but it's a pretty good way of learning how to program, helps you keep things organized, and allows you to keep everything modular so you can move it around and use it in other projects, including code. So you just don't have to rewrite code if it's a related project, which is a pretty powerful tool to have at your disposal. So one of my favorite parts about Java is the fact that it has memory management built in for you. And if anyone's ever used C or C++ before, you'll understand that that's not that fun to work with as a beginner. And Java automatically takes care of it for you, so there can be no memory leaks. Another reason why I strongly recommend Java and why I like it in general is because it's platform independent. As long as you have Java installed on your computer, you write some code, you compile it, someone else can go run it on a different platform and it's going to run fine and there's no worries. So it just makes everything a lot less confusing, and it makes it so that you can write code on one machine. Like for example, you got a Windows computer, a Linux computer, that's pretty popular, or Windows and Mac. You can switch them in between each other and you won't have any issues with it. So Java sounds like the best thing in the world when I start talking about it and saying all the pros, right? Of course, there's cons. There's cons with every single other language. And with Java, its main cons are within performance, right? So one of the key reasons why other programming languages might be preferred is the fact that Java just takes longer to compile than any other languages. It doesn't really matter in the scope of what you're going to be doing as a beginner. It's kind of more on like a grand level, like a big, enterprise project, but it is something to consider still. And not only is Java slower to compile, but it's also slower to execute because of the memory management that we talked about earlier. That whole process can hinder performance. Once again, it's very similar to what I just said. Doesn't really matter on a small level like this, but it ends up being a big deal for enterprise projects. So that being said, of course, I'm going to recommend Java for a beginner, seeing as the only notable problems are pretty irrelevant for beginners, right? And it has so many more pros to make up and help beginners learn the fundamentals. And it's still relevant at a high level. So it's not just some beginner language you toss away like training wheels, right? Like it's an actually like widely used language that's great for beginners to learn. Me personally, through school, I started learning with C and then C++. And let me tell you, that was not fun. It really stressed me out as a beginner, right? There's just so much more going on with the memory management and the pointers. And I really wish that I got to start with Java or Python and just these easier languages, because they really help you build some fundamentals and figure out what's going on before you start having to worry about all the small details. So of course, in conclusion, yes, it's definitely still worth it to learn Java in 2022. The amount of jobs all out there for it, it just makes it worth it alone, honestly. The fact that it's even better for beginners is great. It has way more pros than cons, in my opinion. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you follow my Instagram and my TikTok. I'm going to be posting little videos on those, like summaries of these videos and summaries of coding ones, and probably some funny skits once I get around to it. And if you could subscribe to the channel, would mean a lot. Thank you so much.